to family, friends, loved ones that have lost people here, and to property owners that have lost their homes. We did have 3 fatalities here last night. We had 12 people injured as well. We had 5 individuals transported to local hospitals. This is an active scene. We're still working with all our law enforcement partners. What I ask is that if you have a family member in the affected tornado area, that you contact Central Dispatch 911 or call them at 517-278-3091 and let us know so we can go search for those people
if they're unaccounted for.
And also, our community is great here. We've had a lot of people asking for donations, giving donations monetarily. People right now do not need groceries. They do not need water. What we ask, if you can or if you want, I know there are people have a need to help. We ask that you either donate money to the American Red Cross or to our Victim Services Office at the Branch County Sheriff's Office. This time, I'm going to hand it over to Tim Miner, Emergency Management, and he's going to talk about the procedures that we have in place and what we've been doing. Thank you.
So real quickly, to give an overview of the incident itself, about 4:40 yesterday afternoon, we were notified via warning systems of a tornado that was impacting Branch County and St. Joe County. Upon arrival out here, obviously the sheriff talked about the devastation, and as you will see, and you will further see as the media opens up to this small community is devastated. Again, our thoughts are with all these affected individuals in our community. We would ask that you give them space to do their things that they need to do to put their lives back together. To give some operational perspective to it, we engaged search and rescue teams, both technical rescue, canine, live search, cadaver search, air assets, drone assets, multiple dive assets today, as this area is a lake and much of this property did go into the lake along with houses that are adjacent to the shoreline. We are still working to complete search grids. There is still hazards located within this environment. We are still working in a recovery operation. The rescue side operations has concluded at this point. We are working in a recovery mode. As we look at things moving forward, our goal is to get local residents with a verified address in as soon as possible so that they can assess their affected properties and begin to put their lives back together. There'll be notifications going out on our social media pages and in media releases indicating the time for those individuals to come in. It does not mean that everybody that wants to drive in here and have a look, it's not that time, okay? That time should be space that we allow these people to put their lives back together. So we'll be getting that. That's a priority to us. We just have to ensure that it is safe. There's many, many hazards out here, everything from sharp objects, unstable structures, gas tanks leaking, all different kinds of things that we have to account for within this incident that's occurred here. I want to reach out and thank all our partners. We've had many regional partners, region meaning District 5 in Michigan, many, many county sheriffs, many, many local city and county police departments across the state have reached out and have provided assistance. The Michigan State Police Emergency Management and Homeland Security Division, who I'm flanked on both sides by, has supported us in many, many ways through the state EOC operation and all kinds of assets that are just readily available that wouldn't normally be locally accessible to us. So at this time, we're going to conclude our remarks. We will take a few questions if we can center them away from asking questions about victims' names, because we will not be doing that today. We are not in the process of identifying anybody involved in here at this point, because that's the medical examiner's job to do that, make a positive identification and notify the family before we tell everybody. Okay. So I guess if you'd give us that level of respect, we'd appreciate that. but we will take a few questions and we'll try to direct it to the appropriate person. If we can just go one at a time.
Tim, do you have any unaccounted for?
At this point, our request is to the community, if you have an unaccounted for person, not meaning you haven't chatted with them on Facebook and they live within 6 miles of here, but someone that lives in this affected area, that you reach out to our 911 center at the number that the sheriff provided.
Any that you're aware of right now?
We have followed up on every lead and they have all been unfounded or found. Unfounded meaning that they were not here, or found meaning we located them. The other thing I will touch on is we just received preliminary indication from the National Weather Service that this will likely be along the lines of a EF3 tornado at 150 miles an hour. Now that's subject to their verification. Does that matter? No. These people were still affected by something, right? We all know it was the wind. So let's not focus on this was an EF3 or EF4. We had lives lost and people hurt. So our goal is to get things put back together, get this community whole again, and support them how we can. So we'll take a couple more questions.
Of the survivors you've spoken to, some of whom were in these homes, what are they telling you? What did they experience? What are some of their stories that you heard?
I would be here all day if I told the stories. I will tell you, I did not hear that it sounded like a freight train. Okay, that's everybody's story after a tornado. I did not hear that. We did have some very heroic events that took place that did save lives of people. So those people know who they are. We had some actions of first responders that their quick actions did save lives. The reaction of people to the early warning systems that went out in taking shelter. Many of these people were in what would be considered a shelter and still face this devastation. So that's what I would walk away with is heed warnings, have a system to receive alerting no matter where you're at.
How many homes are in this community right here?
So that's a very broad question. And if you ask me affected homes, the word affected is a very broad statement as well. So we have a lot of different terms that we use to determine what. So if you said destroyed structures, we're still evaluating that. We do that later in the game to determine quantity, to determine resources needed back in the community of what are they going to need to rebuild. We're not so focused on those numbers. There are probably upwards of 70 affected structures here. Now, affected could mean no longer present to us, or it's got part of this blown off. Okay, so that's what I would rate it as.
Do you know if these were all occupied homes or some of them like cottages?
So yes, that's a great question. So in our investigation into trying to find missing people, and this goes back to another question you had of, why does it take so long to get information to the media? Because we have a lot of work that we're doing. Every lead that, hey, is this person accounted for? We're chasing down someone's brother's sister. And yes, they saw him. I mean, we chased one down an hour ago, and we're able to rule out, things that someone was accounted for and that it's okay. So finding that information, is somewhat time consuming.
How serious were the injuries?
So I would rate the injuries from a walking wounded, meaning I have a large abrasion on my arm that we bandaged for them and they sought their own treatment, to the level of needing an ambulance for a serious medical condition to be transported.
Are there any in critical?
There are none in critical condition.
Does Branch County operate under an outdoor siren network? If so, where's the nearest
So-
siren?
So there are outdoor siren networks within Branch County. Most of them are located within city level, municipal levels. We do have a countywide code red system. So that is on your phone. Those are automatic as well through the National Weather Service. So we do have that did activate.
How many people were in homes? Have you ever seen how many people died? How many people were able to survive? Maybe that you do?
Yeah, I would have to say that is a number that I don't know that any of us could tell. I was here very early on, and if you were to count people scattering, it's so hard to tell. We focus our efforts on the people that they can't find, a lot. but we focused our efforts on finding people that you couldn't locate.
The hopes of my question is still on as your request that victims. Could you please share us with the three related?
I'm not able to share that because there's no confirmations yet. So even if I was presumptive, it would be premature.
Are you aware of any mobility issues that stop them from either evacuating or getting to a basement?
I'm not.
When did you all end rescue operations, and how long do you anticipate recovery operations will continue?
So technical rescue operations ended last night. We had approximately 3 hours and 30 minutes of daylight with assets on the ground. Obviously, nightfall, hazardous scene. You'll see all these lights we have out. That's what we had to work under. We also had another storm come through. So we had responders out doing the jobs that they do in that. We had a shelter in place timing where we had to pull them all back because of sightings of funnel clouds to our north. We had to get them out. So we backed them all out, put them in safety, got them back out. The dogs also had issues when it became too windy and rainy at times that it's sending scents in different directions. So there was a time that we just had to stop because the environment was not conducive to us proceeding. We are currently in recovery operations that will continue till we have all of our verifications met. We hope to have that wrapped up into the night tonight.
Thank you.
Is this the first time the county is experiencing something like this?
No.
Would you
No.
consider this the worst?
This is the first time, this is not the first time that this specific township, 2 years ago, this same township, relatively close to here, had a similar event. So, no, this is nothing new.
Anything done differently to be prepared this time?
So, you can only prepare for what you know is coming. In an all hazards approach, we have to prepare for all these things that could possibly occur in the world. Now, with hazardous weather being on our top of our list, yes, but what type of hazardous weather are we dealing with? Whether it's, flooding or, straight line wind events, large scale power outages or blizzards, we try to make an all hazards approach and prepare for them all and, do our best and figure out where the dice are going to fall and do what we can in each.
What's your best guesstimate on allowing families to come back in and kind of look for their belongings?
Yeah, we're hoping late in the day tomorrow that can occur, but it's all contingent upon us getting the necessary work done that we need to get done, and the things that I talked about before of, hey, if you can respect our airspace so that we can get some of those critical missions done while we still have some daylight today, that will keep that process going, at a pace.
With this being an afternoon event, that saved lives of people not being home, have you heard that in terms of people that were unaccounted for in the beginning?
So that's a kind of a deep question, but I do know that I would really rather encounter a tornado during the day than at night because you have a chance of seeing it. And we did have great ground truth that this was on the ground. We do have video of it on the ground. You've probably seen it. We knew it was on the ground. So a nighttime tornado, we wouldn't have known it was on the ground, and we would have been driving around going, where did it hit? So no, I think
a lot of instances of people at work that would have been home, like, hey, I don't know.
yeah, kind of an unpredictable number.
How much time did residents have to escape afterwards in the morning?
So it depends on what their mode was. So in this specific area, you were in the furthest northwest corner of the county. There is not a tornado siren. You probably, not with the wind how it is today, you would not hear the Union City sirens is a likely scenario. But if you have cell phone service, you would get the app notification from the National Weather Service. We have not looked at timings of warning. I know it was adequate because I was already moving towards here and had plenty of time and had to kind of dodge it on the ground. So
That went out to everyone with a cell phone, not just use something, a service you had to sign up for.
no, it's you could sign up for it and not live here and get alerts for Branch County if you'd like.
When do you anticipate your next briefing?
So we will likely do it when there's an ask. I don't know that there's much more unless you guys got more that to share. From a standpoint of what we know so far, what we're doing in the future plan has kind of been laid out. We're going to be in a recovery mode. So our goal today is we're going to kind of guide you back through and out, okay, so that you guys can kind of see the work ahead. But you got to understand that we not only have to deal with the emergency side of this, we have to deal with the debris. We have to get things kind of put back together. Then all these property owners have to do the same thing, So, it's going to take time. It's going to take a long time.
Are you all working with any national or federal law enforcement partners?
So we don't have that need at this point.
Okay.
We have plenty of local and state assets that are at our disposal. There hasn't been a request for anything state or local that hasn't been, just brought here or just sent. So no, there's no.
So do you anticipate needing a FEMA declaration of emergency or no?
Yeah. So I can talk a little bit about that. We did file a local state of emergency that was done. That was drafted late last night, and it was executed this morning. We did make for a governor's request for declaration that was drafted and certified this morning. So that request is present. I know the sheriff has had direct contact with the governor's office in conversation and the governor. So at this point, I don't have any concerns about that process. That's as much nuance and late in the game things. So no, a lot of that tends to help with public infrastructure. But as you can see out here, we don't have damaged municipal buildings and things like that. So not so much of a concern.
When do you expect the victims to be there?
So that's on a timeline of the medical examiner's office. So I can't be predictive on, how long it's going to take them to do the identification of the victims and, seeing that it's got to be right. So, we're ensuring that things are right that we put out, and we want to make sure that stays the case.
Is the governor visiting tomorrow?
I don't know of anything like that. But. Okay, great. What we're going to do is we're going to have sheriff and lieutenant kind of take you guys, and we'll let you take some time to gather your cameras and get them shoulder mounted. We're going to walk you down to another vantage point that's not so much a field behind me, okay, to give you perspective, so that you can kind of see, so that it might fend off your desire to throw your drone up and say, gosh, we got to see this. So we want to try to offer you something so that you go, hey, you can see, so that, it's already been on Facebook, you've seen media, but we're happy to show you from a roadway vantage what that is. Okay. So if you want to gather your stuff, we're going to rally right around this gray car, and we'll kind of walk you up to an area, and but we won't be taking any more questions at that point.